Hey everybody, and welcome back to my channel. This is Kendall the Model Scholar, where we're talking all things being a model and a scholar. So if this is your first time coming to the channel, welcome. Thank you for stopping by. If you're returning, thank you for coming back. I'm glad to see everybody here today. And I just want to thank all of you for all the support you've already given. And don't forget to hit the subscribe button. That really does help me, and it's helping you to know when the next great content is coming. So today, I have another great video for you today. It's going to be very informative and very useful for a lot of people, especially during this time. And what I'm going to be talking about today is how to plan a wedding and save money. So I'm going to be giving you some different hacks that you can use for planning your own wedding. And I hope that you will watch my other video where I did a recap of my own wedding, and there's some great stuff in there too. And I definitely talked about some tips and tricks that I use to help me and my now husband throughout the wedding planning process. But today I'm going to be specifically talking about some hacks that I use and that can be useful to you when you're planning your wedding. So first of all, I just want to say the reason why I feel like this video is important to share and for me to talk about is because I think a lot of times when we're planning weddings, we might get overwhelmed when we see, all these other weddings on social media that, they're very elaborate, all these flowers, all these fancy decorations, a big glamorous wedding gown, really, really nice, clean suits, and just looks like a lot of money was spent on the wedding. And I just want to say and let you know that that's not everybody's reality. So don't start Googling or Instagramming, searching weddings and then seeing all this elaborate stuff and thinking that, I'm not going to have a good wedding because I don't have enough money to have something like that elaborate, because that's not everybody's situation. And so this video is really for people who might have smaller budgets or might be trying to ball on a budget and just want to find ways to be able to cut back on costs. Because either way it goes, planning a wedding, putting a wedding together is going to be, an investment no matter what budget level you're on. So I think that, it's important to know that you can still have a nice wedding even if you have a smaller budget. There are ways to make that happen and things that you can do. And honestly, the smaller your budget, maybe there are some things that you would cut out and that you wouldn't have that maybe someone who might have a larger budget would have, but we all don't have the luxury of, having access to a large sum of money for a wedding. And honestly, I feel like at the end of the day, if you do find ways to cut back costs and save money, then that will be more beneficial to you. It doesn't really make sense for you to try to plan a huge elaborate wedding and spend all this money, and then at the end of the day, it was something that you weren't even maybe even that proud of, or maybe you are now, your finances are not looking good because you did that. So I think that it's important that, if you do have a smaller budget, it's okay and important to know that that's fine. You can still have a beautiful day even if your budget is on the smaller side. So what are some of my hacks and ways that you can save money? I think a big part of weddings, well, for some people, is the flowers. And flowers can take up a lot of people's budgets. I've seen people spend up into like $15,000, $10,000 on just flowers alone. Now, for me, I am not a big flower person. So if you're like me and you're not a big flower person, then that's good for you, because then you'll save money because you won't be interested in spending that much on flowers. But if you are still a person who really does love flowers, but you don't really have the budget to go that all out, there are several hacks that you can use. So one hack is artificial flowers. So for my wedding, I would say 85% of the flowers used in the wedding were fake. And you wouldn't have known that if I wouldn't have told you. So what does that tell you? That tells you that you can get away with using high quality artificial flowers and cut your flower budget way down, I'm telling you. And I know for me, one of my favorite artificial places where I bought artificial flowers from was actually a company on Amazon, and they're called Ling's Moment. And I will definitely link that in the comments. But it's Ling apostrophe S, Ling's Moments, and they have some of the highest quality artificial flowers that I've ever seen. And I used their flowers to build my bouquet, which I DIY'd that. Stay tuned for a future video about that. I DIY'd and built my own bouquet. I also built all the bridesmaids bouquets, and I used flowers from there. And I also ordered the groom and groomsmen and the fathers. They wore their boutonnieres, which is the flowers that get attached to their suits. Those were also from Ling's Moment. They had a pretty good variety of sets that you could choose from, and you could get 6 in a set for like $30. Now, if you were to go to a florist and get those built custom, or even just like order them from a florist, you would probably be paying double or triple that just for the boutonnieres alone. There's still all the other flowers. Also, my sisters are the ones who did, all the decorations for both the ceremony and the reception. They also used a lot of artificial flowers to build the backdrop and the centerpieces. The only time we bought real flowers was to put some real flowers inside of some vases, and those were sitting on pedestals in the sanctuary during the ceremony, and then those same flowers got moved to the reception tent for later in the night. But those were the only real flowers that were used. Also, if you want flowers in your cake, again, you can, off of Amazon, off of Etsy, you can buy fake flowers to be stuck in the cake. I mean, they're going to get taken out and the cake's going to get eaten anyway. So one way for you to really save a lot of money and cut your budget down significantly is to use artificial flowers. Now, if you're not a crafts person, you don't want to build, your own bouquets or your bridesmaids bouquets. Also the corsages. I forgot, those were also artificial flowers. Corsages that the mothers and the grandmothers and the hostesses wore, those were also fake flowers. So again, using artificial flowers, that's going to help cut your budget down a lot. Now, again, as I was saying, if you're not an artsy person and you don't want to make or build your own bouquets, you can buy pre-built bouquets off of Amazon. There are plenty of small business owners on Etsy who make beautiful artificial bouquets, and they're amazing. I mean, they're florist quality. And they also make, they even build the flowers that you would use for your structure that's part of your ceremony. All that stuff you can find online using fake flowers, and they're pretty high quality. And then even I saw on Etsy, which I didn't go with this option, but it is an option, you can order like all of your flowers in one package. So you could order, depending on how many bridesmaids you have, you could get the bride's bouquet, then you can get a smaller version of that, which would be the bridesmaids bouquets, and then you could get boutonnieres, and that will all be in the corsages, and that's all in one set. And that's another way to kind of save money, is to bundle all that together. So that's an option. The final option that I would say, which could work for people or could not, is to actually, there are a couple companies, and I will link some of them below. Their names are escaping right now, but there's a couple companies where you can actually order flowers from them as well, and they are going to be real flowers, but again, you order them in sets, and so they'll literally send you all the flowers you would need for your whole wedding in a bundle, and they're pretty affordable. The companies also offer options to rent flowers. Now, I don't know how that works, but people have done it before, and they've given good reviews, and you can find these companies on Wedding Wire as well, or the Knot. You can definitely search for that, and they will allow you to rent the flowers. Now, you have to look into the details of how that works, but that's also a way to save money if you really, really want to have or can't live without having real flowers. There's another option is to rent them, and you would definitely have to look on the website and see like what are the stipulations for that. But that's one way that you can really save and cut down on a lot of costs, is in the flower budget. Another hack that I would say on saving money is, instead of hiring a full wedding planner to help you throughout the whole process, you can use Google, you can use a wedding planning book, you can use Wedding Wire, all these places that give you like tips and give you countdowns and telling you what you should be doing 12 months before, instead of hiring and paying, thousands of dollars for a actual wedding planner. You could just utilize the internet and really find everything that you need and kind of DIY it. And then I know what I did was, instead of hiring a wedding planner, I just had a day of coordinator, which is, if you pay for someone, it's significantly cheaper than hiring someone to be there throughout the whole process. If you're a more organized person, you're able to plan and put things together. That's another way to save a lot of money. And your day of coordinator actually could be somebody in your family that's reliable, maybe a cousin, who's not part of the wedding party at all, so they'll be able to be available. Or, you could ask a friend or a family friend or someone from your church or someone who is very reliable, but who's not part of the wedding party. Like, you do not want to have your maid of honor be the maid of honor and the day of coordinator. That's not going to work, because their job is to be there to support you. But for me, I utilized one of my cousins, and she was very reliable. She had everything together, did everything that I asked for and above that, and the day ran smoothly with her coordinating everything. And all I did with her was, we had 2 meetings leading up to the wedding, probably like 3 months before, and then maybe like a month before, right before I traveled home. We went over everything. I basically created a packet. If you want me to email it to you, I can send you my packet. Just comment on the video and show you what I did. And it basically had all the information that she would need for the day of the wedding. It had, contact information for all the vendors. It had, who do you call for the bride? Who do you call for the groom? What time you want everything to happen? What's the order of the ceremony, the songs, all that stuff. I put all of that together and gave that over to her and gave that over to the hostesses, and they had all of that information. And then she basically just used that, to run everything. And that saves a lot of money, because you don't have to pay somebody because they are, a friend or a family member. And you just make sure you buy them a nice little trinket to thank them for their time. But, you don't have to, it's not a requirement for you to hire a wedding planner or, pay all this money for someone when you can kind of put some stuff together yourself. And utilize other people in your family who may have gotten married before and who know, kind of how things are supposed to go. And really, Google is your friend. You can Google anything about a wedding and get pretty good information that's pretty accurate. For example, if you don't know the order people are supposed to walk down in, you can Google that and stuff will come up. If you want to know the top 100 father-daughter dance songs, I Googled that and then looked at, because I had no idea what to choose for that. So I Googled that and I looked at, some lists of like top 100 songs for father-daughter dances. And I was able to select one off of that list. So, you really utilize the internet. There's been hundreds of thousands of weddings that have happened before yours. So if you don't have the money to really go all out and hire like a planner or a day of coordinator, you can, do some DIY stuff yourself. And that's a way to, again, also cut back on costs. Another option, which, may be hard for some people, is to just keep your wedding smaller. Sometimes I see pictures of weddings that have like 15, 12, 13, 14, 15 bridesmaids and groomsmen. Like, that's expensive. And then if you have that many people setting up in your wedding, you're not really going to be able to give them like a good gift, because there's so many of them, and sometimes people say like they want a guest list with like 400 or 500 people. If you don't have a huge budget, you're not going to be able to do that. So really trying to find ways to keep your guest list small. You're probably only going to be able to have 50 to 100 guests there, and then you might have a smaller bridal party with like 6 or less bridesmaids and groomsmen, which is fine. That's a way that you cut back costs, because the more people you have, the more money you have to pay. Because if you're going to do a traditional reception, you're going to be paying by the head. You're paying per person for food. And so that's something to keep in mind when planning, is that if I don't have a big enough budget, then that means I'm going to have to make some decisions about the guest list. And that's something that you will have to sit down together, you and your partner or your future spouse, and really think about who you want to be there. And honestly, there are plenty of ways for people to, experience your wedding without having to be there if you're worried about that. If you have a photographer and you're going to have pictures, all of that, if you have money in the budget for video and you have a videographer there, they're going to create a wonderful video that sums up everything that happened. And, really, like, that's the best you can do for people. So if there was somebody that you wanted to invite, you want them to be there, those are the type of things that you can kind of share with them so that it can feel like they were there even though they're not. But if you don't have the biggest budget, another place to save money is in the number of guests, because you're going to pull your hair out trying to figure out how to feed 150 to 200 people if you don't really have the funds for that. So trying to keep it smaller. And who knows, maybe 10 years down the line, when your marriage is doing great, you're thriving, you can have a vow renewal and invite those 500 people. But in order to keep yourself in a good budget, I would say definitely the amount of people, you might want to consider cutting that down. Another hack and something else that I used for my wedding was that a lot of the times the places that your groomsmen rent their suits from, they have certain specials and deals that they will offer to you. So I know Men's Warehouse, if you have 6 or more men in your wedding party, then the groom's suit is automatically free. So that is a way for you and your spouse to save money, because the groom won't even have to pay for his suit, which is a huge savings, because having to rent a suit ranges anywhere from $175 to $250, or if he wanted to get a custom suit, he would be paying probably double that. So if you utilize places like Men's Warehouse, there are a couple other suit companies as well. Men's Warehouse is not the only one, in which they will give you a deal in which you can. I know for Men's Warehouse, it was either the groom rents his suit for free, or you get a $450 credit to buy a suit or something like that. So we went with that option, and that helps save money as well, because now you don't have to worry about paying for your partner's suit. And they will actually give it to you for free. It's just that the 6 men in your bridal party and your wedding party will have to basically secure their reservations, which just includes them going to the store or going online and submitting their measurements, and then they have to pay a $20 deposit. So once 6 people do that, it'll ask you who do you want to select for your free suit. So that's another option for you to be able to save money, and one that we utilize and found to be pretty helpful. Another way you can cut back on costs is actually with your wedding gown. Now, obviously, the wedding gown is one of the most important aspects of the day. It's it's one of the most important dresses that you're going to wear. But I will say to you that you can find there's some really nice dresses that are not going to break the bank for you. I know for me, my wedding gown budget was only $1,000, and I was not going over that by a penny. And I was able to find a very high quality Vera Wang wedding gown from David's Bridal for that price. And so I know a lot of people might, think things about David's Bridal, but they have some really nice wedding gowns that are really high quality. You just have to know which racks to look on. And like I said, Vera Wang is one of the top designers for clothing and for wedding gowns that we know of, but she has a whole collection there. And her gowns are all really high quality, and they're really not super expensive. So I was able to find a really, really nice, well-made wedding gown for under $1,000. And sometimes you can even get one for $500. So I would say if you go to a place like David's Bridal, you can find a really nice dress for not that much money. And there will be options for you to choose from. And also, every season, they always release new gowns. So it's not like you're only going to be able to choose from 5 gowns. No, they have a pretty good selection, because I was looking a lot right up until the time when I went to pick mine out, and I found that they had a pretty good selection, in that they always release new styles every season. And so that is definitely an option for you. That's a place where you can definitely cut down on the cost. You don't have to have a $5,000, $10,000, $15,000 dress for it to look designer and look nice and be high quality. I would also say, after you buy your dress, if you have to get alterations, Sometimes it's included with David's Bridal, sometimes it's not. It's kind of weird. Like sometimes they tell you it is, and then you go make the appointment and it's not. But you could also go to another seamstress somewhere else and outsource the alterations parts to save you money. Or if there's someone that you know that's a seamstress who can do the small alterations for you, if it's not that much work for them, then that could also be an option to save money instead of having to like go pay the full price from a place like David's Bridal or another bridal gown shop. So that's definitely a really good hack. Another thing is for your wedding invitations, you can save a lot of money instead of trying to use someone who like makes custom invitations and is going to charge you a lot of money to make a unique suite of stuff for you and your partner. You can use Shutterfly. I use Shutterfly for our save the dates and invitations, and I received a lot of compliments on them, and it was very affordable. And when you make your invitations on Shutterfly, they send you can order samples, and then when you get the samples, there's going to be a coupon in there for 40% off of your purchase. So if you had to order, like for me, example, I think we had to order like 100 invitations or something, and the original price was like $350, but then it was 40% off of that. And they have quite a few styles to choose from. You could also go into like Adobe and build your own design and upload it onto Shutterfly and get it printed, or you can use the designs that they already have. I would suggest using the designs that they already have and just fill in your whatever pictures you're going to use and whatever text you're going to write. And like I said, I use them for both save the dates and invitations, and that definitely saved a lot of money because they're always going to have a sale or a coupon that you can use, and then you can pick like 5 different samples to come to you first before you make a decision. I would also suggest that before you place the big order of all of your save the dates and invitations, that you just order us like one completed one, like a sample, and have that sent to you first to make sure there's no typos and that it looks how you want it to look. Because I would hate for you to drop a couple $100 on invitations and they come and then they're not right. So just to double check that there's no typos and that everything is looking the way you want it to look, I would order one completed finished one first to your house or wherever you live, and then make the big order. That's something that I definitely did. Also, another hack to save money, again, I keep talking about Wedding Wire, but it's just really very useful. If you want to find vendors and get discounts on the vendors, you can get them on somewhere like the Wedding Wire or the Knot. And basically, if you book them through Wedding Wire, for example, some of the vendors I booked through Wedding Wire, they gave me a discount because I booked them through Wedding Wire. So they'll give you like 20% off, or maybe you'll get a free hour of services. And so I got that for a couple of my vendors. They actually gave me a deal because I found them and booked them through Wedding Wire. So that's another option for you. Also, I would say sometimes, like for photography and videography, those are two of the most important things in the budget, for me at least. Like that's the only way you're going to get the memories. So if you had to choose between that, if I had to choose between that and flowers, I would choose the photography because like the memories are priceless. So yeah, but booking that can be really expensive, and I constantly went back and forth about even having a videographer because I looked at videographers who were like the well-known names in in the Detroit area who everybody books, and their starting prices were like at $3,000 or $4,000 for like a basic package, and that was just video alone. So instead, I decided to try to look through Wedding Wire, and most of the time you can find vendors on there who may be not as well known or maybe up and coming, but they're still very, very talented, and their prices are going to be lower. And so it might be better to do that and catch people before they blow up, and then they recognize their worth and they hike their prices up. So that could be an option for you to try to find people who are like up and coming and get them while their prices are still reasonable. I would say another hack is that if you have your ceremony and your reception in the same location, that can also save you some money because most of the time the place will give you like a deal, or they might even give you the ceremony site for free. So I originally, before the pandemic hit, we were having the ceremony and the reception at 2 different locations, but the place where our reception was supposed to be, they actually had a deal where they would you will basically get the ceremony site, which is at the same location as the reception building for free if you book both together. So sometimes there's deals like that. You just have to look around and shop around and see what people are offering. But most of the time they will give you some type of package deal if you have both the ceremony and the reception at the same place. And so that's another way to really help you cut back on costs, because that's going to be probably something that you spend the most money on is the location, the venue. That's kind of like the first big thing that you find. And I would say, like, when you're looking for venues, you should try to look for non-conventional places. Like, sometimes there are certain buildings that you wouldn't think will host weddings, but they do, and then their prices are a little bit better, as opposed to going to the locations that a lot of people have weddings at, and they're going to charge an arm and a leg, like $75 to $100 per head for you to have a reception there. And that's not really, that's not going to work for your budget. So sometimes it's good to look for non-conventional places that you wouldn't really think would host receptions, like loft spaces and stuff like that, where it's kind of like a smaller business owner thing, and their prices will probably be much, much more affordable, as opposed to going to like the major hotels or major banquet halls in your city that usually have all the weddings and are going to charge a lot of money. So that's it for this episode, and I hope that you found all of my money saving hacks useful. And if you have your own money saving hacks for planning a wedding that you think will be useful for people, then make sure you comment below. We all would love to hear them. I know I would love to hear them. And if there's any other topics that you would like me to talk about related to weddings, wedding planning in general, also make sure to comment that below, and I will definitely shoot another video about that, because I'm here to help and offer as much help as I can be, since I've gone through the process already. And so if there's anything that you would like me to talk about or focus on, make sure you comment below. And also, please don't forget to subscribe, and I will see you next time. Bye-bye.